It's almost holiday travel season. The holidays can be an amazing time. Quality time with your loved ones, delicious foods, and a much needed break from work. But it can also mean answering annoying questions like, why are you still single? Or defending your social viewpoints at the dinner table to your weird uncle. But one thing that all of us suffer through year after year, no matter whether we love the holidays or dread them, is travel cancellations and delays. Want to know how to best manage them or avoid them altogether? Stick around and I'll tell ya. I'm Vivian, your rich BFF and your favorite Wall Street girly, and this is exactly what to do if your travel gets interrupted. Let's get started. First up, here's how to prepare before you fly. Before you even set foot in the airport, there are steps you can take to prepare for potential delays or cancellations. Always book the first flight out. Yes, I know it's a pain in the butt to wake up at 4 a.m., especially if you stayed up late or had a few drinks the night before, but historically, the first flight out is the least likely to be delayed or canceled. Crews are fresh in the morning and haven't been working, so they're less likely to time out, aka work past their allotted number of hours, and there won't be a long line of planes waiting to take off, and the TSA line won't be nearly as backed up. Second, make sure your contact information with the airline is up to date and that you've opted into text alerts so that they can reach you with updates. One time, when my fiance and I were flying out of O'Hare in Chicago, we had driven 3 hours to get to the airport and were notified 45 minutes ahead of arriving that our flight had been canceled. That wasn't great, but I would have been even more sour had we wasted the extra 45 minutes. You can also download your airline's app to stay informed. They often provide real-time push notifications and updates and allow you to rebook directly. You can also follow the airline's social media accounts for announcements and alerts for the general company. And third, consider travel insurance. It can be a lifesaver in a tricky situation, but you don't necessarily need to shell out to buy it yourself. Many credit cards these days, such as the Chase Sapphire Preferred or Reserve Card, the Amex Platinum, or the Capital One Venture X, offer built-in travel insurance if you book your travels with that specific card. For example, I have the Chase Sapphire Reserve. If my trip were to get canceled, Chase would cover up to $10,000 of my expenses. Also, if my trip was delayed for a covered reason for 6 hours or more or overnight, I could receive a reimbursement for up to $100 per day for necessary incidentals for up to 5 days. Now that we've gotten the prep work done right, what if you're already at the airport, but you just can't seem to get on your flight? AKA, you just found out that your flight is canceled, delayed, or you missed the flight. First off, don't panic. Head to the Department of Transportation's cancellation and delay dashboard. But wait, Vivian, shouldn't I try to talk to my airline's customer service first? No. Remember every horror story your friends have ever told you? Or maybe you've experienced one yourself. A customer service rep might have told you one thing, but it turns out they were dead wrong. Yeah, it happens all the time and there is little to no recourse. However, there are resources established by the Department of Transportation to help travelers in America. As soon as something bad happens with your flight, Google Department of Transportation Cancellation Dashboard. This is a tool provided by the US Department of Transport to offer detailed information and statistics about flight cancellations and delays for US airlines. There's one specific dashboard for cancellations and one specific dashboard for delays. These dashboards outline the agreements that each airline have already made with the US government when there are controllable cancellations. You're able to use this for any airlines operating across the US, so make sure to look for whatever airline you're flying with. You want to get the specifics of what these airlines have already committed to with the federal government because it'll be a lot easier to hold them accountable this way. It's a lot harder to take backseas with the feds than it is with you. The dashboard will also show you what you're owed depending on what happened to you and what airline you were flying. For example, if you're flying with Delta, they'll provide you with complimentary hotel accommodations if you're affected by an overnight cancellation. If you're flying Frontier though, yeah, sorry, that's not happening. It is important to note that unfortunately, US airlines are not required to offer compensation for delays or cancellations outside of their control. Think things like a hailstorm or a tornado. If your travels get impacted by a controllable cancellation or delay, however, check the Department of Transport's website for info you can trust. Once you've checked the DOT's dashboards, then it would be a good time to head over to the airline's customer service desk. If the line is long, you can try calling the airline's customer service hotline while you wait, wait, especially if you have frequent flyer status and get a special customer support line, but for the most part, you'll likely receive better assistance in person than on the phone. It's also a lot easier to cut to the chase when you can immediately walk up to the counter and chat with a human being instead of pressing a series of numbers to finally get connected. As always, don't forget to stay calm and be courteous to the staff. They're doing their best to assist you, and you catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. Okay, so we've talked a bit about what happens in the US when you get delayed or canceled, but what if you're abroad? What if the stakes are even higher? Then what? Well, you might be pleasantly surprised. If you get delayed in the EU, you actually have more rights than if it were to happen to you here in the US. Here's what you need to know if you're traveling abroad while getting delayed. For certain international flights, you can be compensated for flight delays. EU law allows you to claim up to 600 euros, almost 650 US dollars per passenger as flight delay compensation when the plane arrives at destination more than 3 hours late. You can refer to this chart to see what you could be owed. How much you'll get paid will depend on how late the flight was and the distance traveled. This is especially useful if you're an American traveler abroad and taking long-haul flights back to the US because you'll qualify for the highest level of compensation. So you're probably wondering, how do we do this? In order to receive compensation, passengers must file a claim in a timely manner based on specific deadlines set forth by each country. This claim is called the EU 261. Airlines allow passengers to file an EU 261 claim in a few different ways. Some will ask you to fill out a form electronically, while others may provide instructions on how to file a claim via email or by snail mail. Regardless of the method though, you'll need to provide relevant documentation, things like your boarding pass, a letter stating what went wrong with your flight, how much you're claiming for, while referencing EU 261 terms and conditions. You're gonna need to let the airline know this, so make sure you have this information handy. You can generally find instructions on how to submit a claim on a carrier's website, and sometimes gate agents even hand out pamphlets explaining the process. However, if you have trouble finding that information, you can also print and complete the Air Passenger Rights EU complaint form and submit it to the airline directly. Wait, how come I've never heard of this before? Airlines don't always tell you the truth about how much you're owed unless you ask point blank, and some even go as far as lying about it. So make sure you know what you deserve by checking online. I love resources like the Points Guy, which can help break down the compensation you might be owed in simple terms. Now that you know exactly what to do when your travel plans are disrupted in the air, you can navigate holiday air travel like a pro. But a really good bonus tip for holiday travel is to consider alternative travel arrangements. Regardless of how savvy, prepared, or punctual you are, sometimes flying just doesn't go your way. So you might have to get creative with your travel plans. A good idea, especially if you're traveling along the East or West Coast, is to consider train. The Amtrak is a train system that runs up and down the western and eastern seaboard, and while it's not perfect, there does seem to be significantly fewer delays and almost no cancellations when traveling by rail. Not only is this a lower stress option, but I personally find the Amtrak to be much more comfortable, cheaper to book, and it even has free Wi-Fi. There you have it, your guide to handling holiday travel like a pro. Remember, it's all part of the adventure. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more travel tips and tricks. And if you have any questions about related topics that you'd like for me to discuss in my next video, please comment them down below. Safe travels, everyone, and happy holidays. See you, besties.